So I was kindly donated some really nice pressure barrels and brewing vessels, about 200 quid's worth of stuff. So I thought I'd give carbonation a go this year. I've never done it before. I've always just drank flat cider, which I don't particularly like for it fizzy. So I'm going to show you how to do that. This is a Young's pressure barrel. It's a 5-gallon plastic barrel. Has a tap at the bottom where you can take your drink out of, and obviously you can remove that cap and you fill your liquid in the top there. Then it's got a pressure relief valve at the top. That's what that brass valve is, or brass screw. So the first thing we're going to do is sterilise this. So I've taken 1 Camden tablet and mixed it with a gallon of water and poured it in there and left it for a few hours. So now we need to empty that out and then we can pour our cider inside. So I've emptied the sodium metabisulfate, the Camden tablets and the water mixture out of there. So the inside of the barrel is sterilised, but you can't apparently sterilise this brass cap. I don't know if it corrodes it or what, but it says to pour boiling water on that. I thought I would do the tap as well. So got myself some boiling water here just to sterilise these bits. And then what we need to do to create a seal is to put some Vaseline on. I've sterilised my hands, washed my hands. Maybe you don't need to do the bottom of it, just do the inner face. It's going to seal on the top of that. This is just to stop any, this is pretty airtight with the seal, but obviously it might not be, it might be 99% airtight but not 100%, so that's why you put this grease on. So you put it around the seal and then also put it on the thread. There we go. There's that one. And also on this one, probably ought to coat both sides of this so it seals to the tap and the barrel itself. You have to tighten the back nut and then this will rotate independently. So just make sure that back nut's nice and tight. So I'm happy with that now, because we've got to take that off now to pour the cider inside. As you can see here, I've got 2 gallons. One. I'd already racked these, so if I hadn't have done, I could have just siphoned them off into the barrel, but there's no point because I've already racked them. Okay. Rightio. Now the first thing you can do with carbonation is obviously you can introduce some CO2 gas in the top. That's what that valve is for. But the other thing you can do is prime it, and that's by adding sugar. Now normally you can add actual priming sugar, specific priming sugar, but you can also use regular old cane or beet sugar, which is what I've got here. The ratio in general, although you can get particular about this, and there'll be some dissolved CO2 in here which you could factor in, but I'm just going to go for a rule of thumb, which is 5 grams per litre. Each gallon is 23 litres, so we've got 46 litres. So we're looking at 46, sorry, each gallon is 4.5 litres. So that's 9 litres in there, 5 grams per litre. So that comes out around 45 grams, but it's actually 46. So I've got 46 grams of granulated sugar here, and I'm going to mix that with some boiling water. Just really enough to, you just need enough to get it to dissolve. Because the reason it needs to be boiling water because you want it sterilised. Right, we need a sterile spoon. So in the end I didn't really need a spoon, I just gave it a little bit of a swirl. So there's our sugar water. And you'd be right in thinking that I'm going to be adding sugar to this, which I've not killed the yeast in with candem tablets. The yeast is still alive in that cider, and you'd be right in thinking that if I add sugar to this, it's going to start fermenting again and make it more alcoholic. But the calculation is done so that it only raises the alcoholic percentage just slightly, but it makes the fermentation increase enough that you create gas in here, and therefore it pressurizes the container. Now, because ideally you would be filling it all the way up with 5 gallons, and therefore you'd at that rate of what I said, 5 grams per litre, you'd end up with a decent amount of pressure in there, maybe 5 to 10 psi. But because this is such a large volume and I'm only putting this amount of sugar in, it probably won't pressurize it that much. So I'll see how it goes. As I say, this is the first time. Guys, any helpful comments you can put in the section below, please do, for tips and advice, because this is the first time I'm doing it. But I will put that in there, and I'll either add more sugar in, I'll leave it for a couple of weeks, maybe add more sugar, or then I'll just go straight into carbonating with the CO2. So let's pour this in here now. You got to let it cool, by the way. So I've had this sitting around for about half an hour. Just let it cool down and then pour it straight in there. And then we're going to screw our lid on with our pressure relief valve so it doesn't blow up. And you're going to want to sit this somewhere room temperature. So in winter time, be careful it's not sat in a cold room, 18 to 20 Celsius, something like that, for a couple of weeks, and then test it out. So that's what we're going to do. I'm quite excited today because I get to try out my little priming experiment. I say I've not done this before. So obviously the yeast have been busy away in there, munching away on the extra sugar that I put in there, and their byproduct is CO2, part of fermentation. That's obviously built up in that big airspace there. Now, as I say, because I've not got a lot of liquid in there, it wouldn't be as much pressure as if it was trying to do it in such a small little space. But we're going to see if any fizzy cider comes out of this. So let's give it a go. Oh, that could just be the pressure of the it's got some fizz to it. Yep, can definitely see some bubbles there. Let's try it. Yeah, definitely not super carbonated, but slightly. So next thing we need to move to is using our CO2 gas cylinder. I don't know why, I always do get slightly nervous about dealing with highly pressurised canisters. So this is effectively like a scuba diver tank bottle, full of CO2. Says 250 bar on here, so it's quite a lot of pressure, but it is a solid bit of metal. It's got a valve in the top there, you can see. all that happens is you press that down and the gas comes out. Now, because of the the quality of this, you have to exchange it to be able to buy a new one. If you do it online, that means you've got to post it, and it's quite heavy. So I was just going to your local homebrew shop, that's what I did, and I got this for 10 quid. Now, it's not the only one you can use. There are other ones that are called little injector bulbs. Now, they are, when you've been to festivals and you see people like doing the old laughing gas, they look exactly like that, but they've got a different fitting on the top, and it's a different valve, it's a slightly different, and it's got a pin in it. I'll show you a picture of that now. Anyway, it's the same concept. You literally, if your priming hasn't quite done what you need, you're just going to basically top it up with a bit of gas, or as your beer drops down and the pressure reduces. And all you want to do is do it for a second at a time. If you do it too much, not only are you wasting gas, but you're also going to freeze up the valve and potentially damage it. So I say do a second at a time and then test it. So you should be able to hear it. Hear that? Alright, now that may not have done much because I've got such a huge volume in here, but we can only try. Now I'd say that's got something to it, but let's do a little bit more. This is where it's critical to make sure, as I say, all the seals are replaced regularly. So every third brew, apparently, you're supposed to replace the seals, and obviously lubed up to the max with a bit of Vaseline. Love a bit of that. Yeah, okay. Oh, don't do that. Right, let's see if it's been carbonated. See a lot of bubbles in there. Yeah, probably could do with a little bit more, but it's basically down to your taste. You just keep adding a bit more of that, and then to take it off, you literally just pull it off. But I wouldn't screw it all the way down. You'll dump that oxygen, that CO2, like almost immediately. Anyway, guys, that's it for this video. I hope that was useful for you. If you want to go out and make your home brew, please do. Obviously, this works for beer, cider, and wine. If you want to carbonate it. I've got a lot of clearing up to do now. If you like the video, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you on the next one, all about fixing things, permaculture, sustainability, and so on. So we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.